Arizona's on its way to welcoming a new municipality in Santan Valley. Find out how they're looking to change the community and become a fully independent town. Plus, could shipping containers be the housing of the future? See inside one of the newest housing concepts right here in the Valley. And what you need to know about Prop 409 before sending in your ballot. It's all that and more this evening on Broomhead. Welcome, I'm Mike Broomhead. Before we jump into today's interviews, let's take a look at some of the top stories. Let's start with the bombshell about the NBA and the accusations there. Some are saying up to 30 names. I don't know how many of them you'll know, but big names that are involved in a gambling scandal or a couple of different gambling scandals. One of them has to do with NBA coach Chauncey Billups, and it has to do with poker. The games in poker, if you are not a good poker player, they call you a fish. The accusation is they lured in fish by saying you could play with NBA stars. They call those face cards. So you get to play poker with someone like a Chauncey Billups. So these players are coming in to play in these games. The fish are getting taken and all their money's gone. That's part of the accusation. The bigger one has to do with kind of rigging games. An NBA player named Rozier, who now plays for Miami, was playing in Charlotte, and in a game in New Orleans, the accusation is, said to his friends, I'm going to be leaving the game early, saying that I have an injury. So those friends went and made about $200,000 in bets to set on the under, that he would underperform expectations. Those two issues alone are huge. There's been some connection to LeBron James, that people connected to LeBron, not him individually. But these are some of the biggest names in basketball. Keep your eye on that. The other has to do with the shutdown and how it's affecting Arizona. First of all, if the SNAP benefits end, if the SNAP benefits are paused, that means that people with women, infants, children, the WIC program, the SNAP program are not getting those funds. Hearing from major food banks are saying, we do not have the ability, even together, to make up the loss for these programs if they're paused. And down in southern Arizona and Sierra Vista, about 20% of its population works specifically at Fort Huachuca. The civilian federal employees at Fort Huachuca are being furloughed, which means no one's going to restaurants. No one is frequenting the coffee shops. A lot of the local businesses are suffering because a huge part of their population and customer base are not able to go out and shop because they've been furloughed from their jobs. Just part of the fallout that's happening from the shutdown and how it's hurting families here in the state of Arizona. These are just some of the stories we're keeping our eyes on. Coming up, Santan Valley is on its way to becoming a fully independent town in Pinal County. The newly elected mayor shares his thoughts on the community's future when Broomhead returns. It's important to recognize and thank the fine Arizona men and women who are serving in our country's military. One of the ways we do that is through a segment called From Arizona for America, brought to you by my good friends at Sanderson Ford. Join me in honoring Marine Corps Lance Corporal Mason Howe, a native of Prescott, Arizona. He's a combat engineer with the Marine Wing Support Squadron 174 stationed in Hawaii. For a list of more of our friends and neighbors that are from Arizona for America, go to the Broomhead tab at cw7az.com. Something we never thought we'd talk about, and that is the official incorporation of Santan Valley with the mayor, Darren Schnepp. Thanks for doing this.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me.
Let's start with the beginning with you, growing up here.
Yeah.
Did you ever imagine that you would see the growth you've seen in the Far East Valley?
No. In fact, I think even my father said that it's unimaginable, the growth that took place out there in that area, and upwards to 100,000 people just in the Santan Valley area is just amazing and monumental. And it's an area that has a lot of continued growth and potential.
With your family's history out there, it's got to be important to you to have growth, but managed growth and do it the right way. What's the plan? What's the goal?
The goal?
Yeah.
Right now, well, we're a new incorporated municipality, so there's a lot that we have just to get everything put together so that when the day comes when the first elected officials, they'll have something to take over. The goal is to have what we all wanted, was self-determination. And that's what we achieved through this vote. And we hope to have our own amenities and to see our tax dollars come back to the area where we didn't have that before as unincorporated. So the growth, yes, economic development, and a place that everyone can work, live, and play.
The envy of a lot of the valley is the East Valley. I mean, it's what it has grown into, and watching it progress from Chandler and Mesa and then out, going east and Gilbert. But Santan Valley is now a destination. You are no longer a secret. So how do you manage that growth? How do you not allow it to happen where it's overwhelming?
Well, we're going to be able to control a little bit more of the growth that comes out, where before it was under the county guidance. And when you go to the county, you have a 5-member board. Only one of them lived in the area. So now the citizens will have the determination of how are we going to grow? What is that we want to attract? Businesses are coming. It's not, like you said, it's known now. And it was starting to gear up anyways, because we had a couple of big box stores come out like Home Depot, and now we have a Winco, and they're exceeding their profit levels that they thought they were going to get. So I think the word's out, and it's not going to be a secret. So we have to do a good job at managing the growth and having our own planning and zoning that will be able to help determine, what is it that we're going to give for land designations? Right now the county, and I sit on the Planning and Zoning Commission for Pinal County, so that got me into this mode of seeing what was happening in our area and how land was being changed.
What is it that when you look at, let's say Scottsdale, when I go to Scottsdale, they work hard to preserve their heritage and history of being a Western town. Watching that happen and what it's exploded into in Scottsdale, how do you prevent that, or do you want to prevent that in Santan Valley, where you keep your history and your heritage, the agriculture heritage and the Western lifestyle heritage of Santan Valley, while welcoming growth and business?
Well, we want to be mindful of those who have been out there a long time and have some acreage, and let them have the opportunity to preserve what they like and how they want to live. However, we can't stop growth. Growth is going to happen. So if we can manage it in a proper way, and we need a mix. We got 100,000 people out there, and more is going to come. But we need economic development now. And we got a lot of state land in there. So that's why I say there's a lot of potential for Santan Valley to grow. And we just have to be aware of what the citizens would like, because that's what we have now is local government that is will be voted in by the citizens. And so we have to do a good job in preserving.
So if you could do what you wanted, just you wanted, take me forward 5 or 10 years. What does Santan Valley look like in 5 or 10 years?
Oh, in 5 and 10 years, hopefully that as we are receiving the revenues that we get from the state share revenues and everything, we'll have our departments that we need, public works. I don't know if in 5 years we'll have our own police and fire, but we can have intergovernmental agreements with those while we build up the community and help attract more businesses. As a lot of people said out there, we want sit-down restaurants.
Right.
We don't want drive-through restaurants.
Right.
So, and industrial. I think that would be a good, where people can stay at home.
I'm so happy to see what's happened out there. I love that part of the valley, and congratulations on your growth, and thanks for coming on.
Thank you. Appreciate you and your time. Thanks for having me.
It's amazing to see what's happening all across the valley, but Santan Valley truly is growing, and growing the right way. We'll be back. Coming up, Prop 409 is on the ballot for all Maricopa County residents. How will the proposition help Valley-Wise Health, and how will it affect your property taxes? Find out when Broomhead returns. All right, one of the biggest issues that we are voting on here in Maricopa County is Prop 409, an $898 million bond for Valley-Wise Health. Joining us is the Chief Clinical Officer from Valley-Wise, Dr. Michael White. Dr. White, thanks for doing this.
Thank you so much for the opportunity to talk about this.
We've been talking about this a lot, obviously, in the media. It's a lot of money. It's a big investment, and many are saying very necessary. I've talked to the sheriff about it and the mental health part of this, but can you give me a kind of a comprehensive look of what 409 will accomplish?
So Prop 409 is going to allow us to continue to expand the facilities that we have within Valley-Wise Health to make sure that we have adequate access for all of those patients that need behavioral health, as well as emergency treatment, for their conditions with citizens here within Maricopa County. It allows us to construct facilities and increase our capacity of the number of beds that we have available for people that need inpatient care, especially mental health care, but also be able to expand those folks that need to come to the emergency department, that may need to have some observation work before they're either admitted to the hospital or safely discharged.
Let me lay out the case that was laid out to me by the sheriff and why he's supporting this, saying that, you have kind of a revolving door with his deputies where they're interacting with people that could really be served with a mental health care bed, a behavioral health bed, and they're not getting it. So then those people are getting mild treatment or very quick treatment. Then they're back outside, and the system just keeps in this revolving door. Is that a big problem that you see?
So today in Maricopa County, we have anywhere from 30 to 40 patients per day that are waiting to come into Valleywise Health to undergo evaluation for where they may need to be placed on court-ordered treatment, i.e. they've gone through the judicial process to say, you need to have help, with your medications and with therapy to be able to come back into society around that. If those folks are not able to be admitted, you're correct. They may get stabilized in one of the urgent psychiatric centers, one of the emergency departments, and one of the other healthcare facilities within the county, and then ultimately discharged and may not be able to follow through that treatment. So we want to be able to expand to make sure that we continue to meet those needs of those patients that are waiting today. But also, as we see the continued growth here in Maricopa County, we expect these numbers to continue to increase and the demand for these services continue to increase.
What is the timeline if 409 passes where we start seeing a difference with the training of new people and the installation of new beds? What does that timeline look like?
It'll probably take us, over the next 5 to 10 years to fully realize, the gains that we will see after we pass Prop 409. Our experience as we did Prop 480 back in 2014, it took us approximately 9 to 10 years to complete that full project to modernize the facilities that we have within Valleywise Health.
Critics would say this is a lot more money that is necessary. There's going to be a lot of waste here. There's going to be a lot of that going on. How do you address those concerns with citizens that see a big number and just say, that's all? I don't know that I can say yes to such a big number.
It's an investment in what we have into what we need today, but also the future. As we continue to grow in the county, we want to make sure that these essential resources are here for the folks within Maricopa County. When you need healthcare, when you need behavioral healthcare, we have the ability and the capacity to do that in a timely fashion. Being able to invest in that today not only meets our needs now, but helps us be ready as we grow and continue into the future around this. If we don't do this today, we'll continue to see some of those times that we're seeing patients wait in the emergency department increase, that access to be able to get to that inpatient mental health care, the time that takes to do that will continue to increase. And we'll be struggling, with getting people efficiently through and the care that they need.
Yeah, and in the overall healthcare system here in the Valley, Valleywise is a big piece of that. And if we don't shore up that piece, it weakens the entire system.
Correct. We want to be here for as an essential community resource for those to make sure that we are able to be part of the solution to meet those needs and those healthcare needs for all here within the county.
Well, I know it's a big decision for voters here in Maricopa County. I appreciate the perspective in helping voters make the right decision on this, and we appreciate your time today.
Thank you so much, and we appreciate the support and everything that folks do to support Valleywise Health.
All right, be an informed voter. That's the big part here. Know what you're voting for and why you're voting for it. These are the reasons why we do these interviews. We'll be back. Coming up, could recycled shipping containers solve Arizona's housing shortage? Find out if the innovative approach stacks up. That's next on Broomhead. You wouldn't believe it. These are shipping containers turned into apartments, and they look fabulous. We're going to take a look inside. Let's go. All right, here we are. We are with Evan Glickman. He is the owner. He is the one with the concept of all this. How did you come up with this idea?
Well, I was living in San Francisco at the time, and at that time, the cost for new construction was over $1,000 a square foot. And I would just play this game where I'd look at other places and what could you build for that price in Houston? What could you build for that price in Latin America? And I realized the price to build in Mexico was $40 a square foot. So I just decided someone should just build in Mexico and bring it into the United States. And so I ended up, that's the concept, and that's what I ended up doing.
What's fascinating is when someone says shipping containers turned into apartments, you have a picture in your head that is nothing like what we've seen. This is an amazing complex, spacious, the air conditioning's very cool, the bathroom is huge. It's an amazing place.
Thank you, I appreciate that.
So how do you get there? How do you say to people that are looking right now to think, I don't know about a shipping container, because it looks nothing like that while we're here?
Well, people don't realize, but high cubes are 9 foot 6 inches tall, and we put multiple containers together. That's why they're so spacious. It's not a single thin container. Our 1 bedrooms are 2 combined, and our 2 bedrooms are 3 combined. And a 640 square foot 1 bedroom, like you said, it's not small, it's decent size.
Yeah, and when you walk in, big shower, we've seen the bathroom is big, the kitchen is spacious, so it provides people the housing that they need, livability, great neighborhood, and you're getting ready to lease. What's your expectation as far as demand?
Well, there's a lot of new construction in this submarket exactly, but we're offering something that no one else has, and that's this industrial green new build. So that's something that we think is going to be very attractive. Literally today, before this interview, we had 3 cars drive by taking pictures. It's just a new concept. So if you're looking for something that's industrial aesthetic, recycled, and high energy efficiency, good for the world, this is one of only a few places you could rent in Phoenix that are like that.
Yeah, and it's also very close to the freeway. I mean, the convenience of being near a freeway is...
And it's not just any freeway, it's 5 minutes. I picked this location because it's 5 minutes to downtown, 5 minutes to Tempe, and 5 minutes to Old Town. So it's basically, with the more and more traffic that's coming in Phoenix, this is the place that you would want to be. It's so easy to access all of the major places you'd want, at least in this area.
One of the things I noticed was how cool the units are, and we talked about the insulation factor in them. How much does that play a part in all of this too? With energy bills, we're all concerned about high energy bills. This has got to be, for a family or for individuals, perfect when you look at the low cost because of how insulated they are.
Oh yeah, they're built just like a Yeti thermos. So double wall construction, it's called thermal bridging between them. So it's built really well insulated, and we have high efficiency mini splits. So it's every unit, even our 1 bedrooms, are multi-zone mini splits. You can cool just the part you're using, and like you said, they're over insulated, more insulated than the typical requirements would be for new construction.
How about pets? You going to allow pets?
Yes, absolutely.
I asked that because that dog run is pretty cool.
Thank you.
It is very cool space. You've thought of so many things in this. Did you have help? Is this your unique design? Did somebody help you with designing this?
Yeah, so I've got a team in Mexico of architects that are helping me out at my factory, and yeah, we have. I mean, this is obviously an architect licensed architect stamp with the city and the state. Yeah.
So what is the goal? This obviously is coming together so nicely. Are there plans for more?
Absolutely. So this is our proof of concept. So this is showcasing, hey, we're here, we're ready. We can build complicated multi-story, fire-rated, IBC-compliant buildings, and we're looking for partners to build more of these for multifamily and also some single-family stuff that we're just starting to get into.
From groundbreaking to what we see here, what's the time frame?
Oof, that's a tough one because I bought this before COVID and then basically paused for a year and a half. But I want you to make it clear, every stage of this, I thought I could lose all of my money up to that point, right? I made a set of plans for $100,000, and if I couldn't build them in my factory, those plans would be worth $0.
Right.
So every stage, I was just very tentatively moving, okay, they said this was impossible, I could do it. Okay, they said this was impossible. Oh, I could do it. And then COVID too. So it was a really long time from starting till now. It was about more than 4 years.
The prototype is amazing.
Thank you.
And so I can't wait to see how it progresses because you've done so well with the prototype. So this is an amazing place. I appreciate you sharing it with us, and I can't wait to see how quickly this fills because I imagine this is going to be full pretty fast.
Thank you. I hope so. From your lips to God's ears.
Check it out. It is called Stacks on Polk. You're going to check this place out and more like it because this is going to spread everywhere. Thanks for watching. Every Sunday here on Broomhead, we ask a new poll question. This week's question is, do you think shipping containers will help solve Arizona's housing shortage? All you have to do is head over to cw7az.com/Broomhead to respond to the poll question. Thank you for joining us this week. We'll see you next Sunday on Broomhead.